One moment, it is there, a silent, pockmarked sphere hanging in the velvet blackness, the steadfast custodian of our nights, the metronome of our tides. It is a presence so fundamental, so deeply woven into the fabric of our planet's existence and our own consciousness, that we barely register its constancy. Then, in an instant that is both utterly silent and cosmically deafening, it is gone. Not exploded, not shattered, but simply vanished as if it had never been. There is no flash, no celestial cry of parting. There is only a sudden, profound, and terrifying emptiness in the sky. Initially, for most of the world's population, nothing seems to have changed. Those on the sunlit side of the earth continue their day oblivious. But for the half of humanity, under the night sky, the effect is immediate and unnerving. The familiar, gentle glow that illuminates landscapes and cityscapes is extinguished. The darkness that descends is absolute, a primeval blackness known only to the deepest oceans or to our ancestors before the first fire. The stars, no longer muted by lunar glare, blaze with a fierce, unfamiliar intensity. They seem sharper, colder, and terrifyingly distant. Astronomers, both professional and amateur, are the first to raise the alarm. Their telescopes swing to a patch of sky that now holds nothing but the void. Frantic calculations are made, checked, and rechecked. The data is impossible, yet undeniable. The moon, with a mass of over 70 quintillion tons, has ceased to exist. Within hours, the first true global catastrophe begins. It is not a threat from the stars, but from our own oceans. The moon's gravitational pull is the primary driver of the tides, creating a bulge of water on the side of the earth facing it, and another on the opposite side. The sun also contributes, but its effect is less than half that of the moon. With the moon's influence abruptly removed, the immense bulges of water held in place by its gravity are released. The oceans, suddenly unshackled, attempt to redistribute themselves into a state of equilibrium under the sun's pull alone. This is not a gentle process. It is a planetary scale sloshing. The stored potential energy in the tidal bulges is converted into kinetic energy with unimaginable force, to colossal waves, not breaking on a shore but moving as a global surge begin to race across the ocean basins. In the open ocean, the swell might be subtle, but as it approaches coastlines and continental shelves, it builds into tsunamis of a magnitude never before witnessed. These are not the localized waves of an earthquake. This is a coordinated, global event. Coastal cities across the world are erased from existence. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Sydney all are inundated by tidal bores hundreds of meters high, scouring the land clean for miles inland. The familiar rhythm of high and low tide, twice a day, is replaced by a chaotic and violent oscillation that will take weeks, perhaps months, to dampen. The world's great estuaries, like the Bay of Fundy, which once saw the greatest tidal ranges on Earth, become cannons firing water deep into the continental interior. The delicate ecosystems of the intertidal zones, the foundation for a vast portion of marine life, are annihilated in an instant. Mangrove forests are ripped from the earth, and coral reefs are pulverized by the churning waters. The chemical balance of the oceans is thrown into chaos as untold tons of sediment, soil, and man-made pollutants are washed into the sea, as the survivors on higher ground grapple with the greatest humanitarian disaster in history. A more subtle but equally profound change is taking place. The Earth itself is beginning to spin faster. For billions of years, the moon has been acting as a brake on our planet. The friction created by the tidal bulges dragging against the rotating Earth has been steadily slowing our planet down, lengthening our day from an initial 6 hours to the 24 we know today. In this celestial partnership, Earth's rotational energy was transferred to the moon, pushing it slowly away from us at a rate of about 3.8 centimeters per year. With the moon gone, this braking mechanism vanishes. According to the law of conservation of angular momentum, the Earth-Moon system's total spin must be conserved. Now that the system is just Earth, the planet spins up to compensate. The day begins to shorten. At first, it is by milliseconds, then seconds, then minutes. Over a geological blink of an eye, but a terrifyingly short span for humanity. The Earth's rotation will accelerate until a new stable day is reached. It will not return to the primordial 6 hours because much of that initial spin energy has been dissipated as heat overends. But a day of 8 to 12 hours is a likely outcome. The consequences are staggering. A shorter day means more dramatic temperature swings between day and night, but the most violent effect is on our weather. The speed of the wind is fundamentally linked to the speed of the planet's rotation through the Coriolis effect. As the Earth spins faster, this effect is magnified enormously. Weather systems become tighter, more compact, and far more violent. Gentle breezes become constant gales. Storms that would have been hurricanes become hyperhurricanes, with wind speeds far exceeding anything in our recorded history. These permanent, continent-sized storms would make much of the planet's surface uninhabitable. Aviation becomes a suicidal endeavor. Agriculture becomes impossible in all but the most sheltered locations. The biosphere, evolved over millions of years to the rhythm of a 24-hour cycle, is thrown into disarray. Plants struggle to adapt to the new, rapid cycle of light and dark. Animals, especially those that rely on the moon for navigation or hunting, sea turtles, migratory birds, nocturnal predators, are lost. The very rhythm of life, the pulse of photosynthesis and sleep, is broken. For all of human history, the moon has been more than a gravitational anchor. It has been our cultural anchor. Its disappearance is an act of psychological warfare against our species. We lose our oldest god, our first calendar. The cycles of planting and harvesting, the timing of religious festivals from Easter to Ramadan, the very word month, are all derived from its steady journey across the sky. The myths and legends of every culture, from the Chinese goddess Chang'e to the Greek Selene, from the werewolf to the belief in lunar madness, are rendered hollow. The moon was the muse of poets, the dream of lovers, the destination that united a world in the 1960s. As humanity took its first steps into the cosmos, the Sea of Tranquility is no longer a place. It is a memory of a ghost. This loss carves a hole in the human psyche, a profound sense of cosmic loneliness and fragility. We are adrift, but the worst is yet to come. The chaos of the tides and the fury of the winds are but the overture to Earth's final, slow-motion act of self-destruction. The most critical function the moon has served for life on Earth is as a gyroscopic stabilizer. Our planet is tilted on its axis by approximately 23.5 degrees relative to its orbit around the Sun. This tilt is the reason for our seasons. It is a remarkably stable tilt, and the moon's immense gravitational influence is the reason for that stability. It acts like a steadying hand, preventing the Earth from wobbling violently. Without the moon, that steadying hand is gone. Earth's axial tilt, its obliquity, becomes subject to the chaotic gravitational nudges of the other planets, particularly the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn. Over tens of thousands of years, a heartbeat in geological time, our planet begins to wobble like a dying top. The 23.5-degree tilt is no longer a constant. It begins to drift, swinging wildly between near 0 degrees and perhaps as much as 85 degrees. The consequences of this wobble are the death knell for complex life. When the tilt approaches 0, the Earth becomes a world without seasons. The equator is locked in a state of perpetual, blistering summer, while the poles are frozen in an eternal, unyielding winter. The great climate engine of the planet seizes up when the tilt swings to its other extreme, towards 85 or 90 degrees. The planet becomes a caricature of extremes. For a quarter of the year, the North Pole would point almost directly at the sun, experiencing a summer so ferocious that the ice caps would boil away and the northern hemisphere would be sterilized by heat. Meanwhile, The southern hemisphere would be plunged into a winter of unimaginable cold and darkness that lasts for months. Then, as the Earth continues its orbit, the roles would reverse. Seasons as we know them, gentle spring, warm summer, crisp autumn, cold winter, cease to exist. They are replaced by geological epochs of fire and ice. Life, which thrives on predictability, cannot adapt to such violent and fundamental shifts. The polar ice caps, which regulate sea level and global temperature, would disappear and reappear in a chaotic cycle, causing sea levels to fluctuate by hundreds of feet. The equator could one day be covered in glaciers, while the Antarctic continent could become a scorching desert. In this new, unstable world, the story of evolution is over. The slow, patient march of life from the oceans to the land is reversed. Only the simplest organisms, perhaps microbes living deep underground or near volcanic vents on the ocean floor, could possibly survive the planetary-scale extinction events that would now be the norm. The surface of the Earth becomes a barren, wine-scoured wasteland, swinging between a furnace and a deep freeze over millennia. The night sky, once graced by our luminous companion, is now a stark reminder of what we lost. It is filled with the cold light of distant galaxies, a universe that is indifferent to the fate of the small blue world that has lost its partner. The Earth continues its journey around the sun, but it is no longer a cradle of life. It is a tomb, a monument to the profound and delicate cosmic ballet that allowed us to exist in the first place. A dance whose most vital partner has inexplicably and eternally left the floor.